I want to platinum every Far Cry game, and last time I did Far Cry 3, so now it's time for... Released all the way back in 2014, this game is considered one of the best Far Cry games by the Far Cry community. But spoiler alert, I think this game is super overrated and I wouldn't rank this game higher than a mid tier. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let's get into the game. The first thing I did was hop in the map browser. These are maps made by other people, and all I had to do for the community surprise trophy was play and finish one of them. So I picked a random one and got it done pretty easily. I have no idea why I started with this trophy, but let's just roll with it. After I started the story, the game is taking place in Kyrant, which fun fact is a fictional place but is highly inspired by Nepal. We play as AJ, a guy who just simply wants to fulfill his mother's dying wish, which was to spread her ashes in some place in Kyrant. I kind of forgot where exactly, to be honest. But while we were on the way there, the villain of the game, Pagan, flies in with a helicopter and kills a man with a pen. Now this is an introduction to a character. He takes us to his base where he basically tells us that he banged our mother, and this is not some kind of joke. He actually did it. Wow, a guy with a lesbian haircut banged our mother, that's crazy. After he leaves for a phone call, which was our opportunity to escape, but apparently if you actually waited for 10 minutes for him to come back, he actually takes you to the place where you need to spread your mother's ashes. But at that time I didn't know about it, and even if I did, I'm not gonna wait 10 minutes for no trophy. So after sneaking my way around the base, I run into Sabal, one of the leaders of a group named the Golden Path that's fighting against Pagan. We run to the scar, which ends up crashing 2 minutes later, and when we wake up we get into the tutorial section. It teaches me the basic combat stuff like stealth and gunplay. To be honest, the combat is the best thing in Far Cry 4. I know it's a little basic, but I fuck with basic, what can I say? When we make it to their village, Sabal gives us a quest to liberate a bell tower. What this does is open up the map, and I'm gonna need to liberate 8 of them later for the end transmission trophy. After, I went to meet the crackhead, which is the weapon dealer, and that unlocked the shops. I then proceeded to save a little girl from a burning building and liberate an outpost. After, I got a cutscene with Amita, the second leader of the Golden Path, and she tells us that our parents started the Golden Path and were big heroes here in Kyrant. We then proceed to joining the Golden Path, which rewarded me with a trophy. I then run into Anita and Sabal fighting, which they proceed to do for the rest of the game. And that's when they give me the choice to choose between helping Anita or Sabal. This didn't really change much in the story apart from mission objective, but all you need to know is that Anita wants to use enemy resources to help the village, and Sabal wants to blow up everything, so I picked Sabal most of the time. But before going to the next main objective, I decided to liberate an outpost, and I accidentally got a trophy, Tread Lightly, for liberating an outpost without triggering an alarm. Then I continued with the main missions. We get tasked to stop Pagan soldiers from bombing statues. This is one of the reasons I didn't enjoy my time with this game. Most main mission stories don't even feel like main missions. If you told me this was a side mission, I would have 100% believed you. After, I did a side mission where I had to rescue hostages, and after saving 15 of them, I got a trophy. We talk to this little girl and she tells us where our parents' old house is, so we make our way there, and in the house we find the most annoying characters in the game. These two stoners are Yoji and Reggie. We tell them to get out of the house, but instead they inject us with some sort of drug, and when we wake up in an arena. There are 4 rounds we need to get through. We get thrown into the pit butt-ass naked, and our starting weapon is just a melee, but I do eventually pick up a gun from one of the enemies. The rest of the rounds weren't that hard to get through, but after we survived, we talked to the woman that threw us in the pit. Apparently a guy named Paul has her family, and if she doesn't work for him, he'll unalive them. But not only that, apparently the Golden Path also wants Paul dead, but first we confronted the stoners that drugged us, and threw us in a pit with deadly enemies and soldiers with guns. And for some reason, this dumbass main character doesn't kill them because they gave him some money. If it was me, I would have took the money and shot them anyway, but after the cutscene I got another trophy. Not too long after, I decided to get some easy trophies for crafting 5 upgrades to my equipment and learning 10 skills. And then while I was doing a mission, I got a trophy called 2 birds for killing 2 enemies with a single sniper shot. But now I finally went to Paul. He was having a party, and in order for me to get to him, I had to sneak into a truck that was going to the party. And while I was trying to sneak around the enemies, I got a trophy called Shutterbug for tagging 25 enemies enemies with the camera. I eventually got in the truck and into the party. Now, in my opinion, this has to be the best mission in the game because it actually felt like a main mission. I had to stealth enemies and take photos of potential victims until I found this guy. I released him and put on the mask so when Paul came in the room, I could surprise attack him. After, I had to sneak Paul out of this base that didn't really work out because I get caught immediately after, which doesn't really matter because I just shot my way out of there and put Paul in a trunk. And while driving back to the base, he tells us that he killed the pit lady's family years ago. We let the golden pot deal with him and that popped me another story trophy. After, I get tasked to destroy a giant chimney, which was low-key pretty cool to watch. We return back to the golden pot base and we finally see Anita and Sabal agree on something. They both want Noor, the arena girl, dead, but luckily we didn't have to do much work. Later, we get a call from a random guy named Willis. How do you wait 8 months for a baby and name it Willis? But names aside, Willis claims that he got some information on how my parents died. But first, we needed to help him land his plane in an enemy base. So first I took out the snipers and alarms and then I just killed the rest. When we got the chance to talk to Willis, he tells us that all the information we want on our parents are in a file on a plane that's about to take off. And here is where the coolest scene in the game is, because we grab a quad bike, fly it off a cliff, parachute on the plane, grab the file and throw a grenade in the plane. I'm so wrecked right now. When we land, we find out there's nothing on the file and we talk to Willis and he gives us another job. This time he wants us to kill a guy and take a photo of him. But before we left the plane, he tells us that our father killed our mother because she was going to leave the golden pot. And after finishing the job, we head back to Willis and he betrays us. And our dumbass character lets him push him off a plane like a little bitch. And Pagan captures us and puts us in a cell. We get injected with drugs again. I swear, we get injected with drugs more than the homeless man asking for $2 behind the Burger King parking lot. While we're high out of our minds, we get chased by a little demon throwing knives at us, and all I had to do to escape was find a grapple and just make my way down the mountain. But obviously something has to go wrong and the little demon makes us fall, and we end up running past a bunch of guards and get saved by Sabal. After this, I got 2 collectible trophies, one for liberating 8 bell towers and another one for taking down 30 posters. Thankfully, Ubisoft decided to make only 30 out of the 150 posters mandatory for the trophy. But anyway, getting back to the story, I get drugged again, but this time it's from this Dutch she blew in my face. I go through a few fights with a bow and the parkour section until I found this guy and killed him. But when I wake up, it turns out I killed the woman that drugged me. I have no idea what's going on, by the way. But I do know that I popped a trophy right after. A bit later, I spent 500,000 rupees, which is this game's in-game currency, in the trading shop, which popped me another trophy. Now it's finally time for the final mission, which is obviously to kill Pagan. But first, Saban tasked us to kill Amita, and it was low-key pretty sad, I'm not gonna lie. But then after I went after Pagan, we broke in his base with the golden pot and just killed some soldiers. I eventually find Pagan in his office and he gives us 2 choices, either go with him to spread my mother's ashes or shoot him. And as you're going to see, I wasn't very happy with the ending. You can just shoot it. That's it? That was it? That was the most stupid ending ever. What? Yeah, probably one of the most boring endings ever. I know I chose the boring option, but I saw the other ending and it wasn't even that good either. I feel like such a good villain was wasted on this terrible story. But anyway, story aside, now it's time for the cleanup and multiplayer trophies. I first liberated 12 outposts, which got me the Deliver Us from Evil trophy. I then defended 3 friendly outposts that were being attacked. This was a random event that could have happened at any time, but it happened pretty frequently, so this trophy wasn't a huge issue. After this, a random guy messaged me and asked me if I wanted to do the Renaissance Man trophy, so I was super happy because I've been messaging people to boost this trophy ever since I started this game. But anyway, for this trophy we needed to play 3 different modes in the multiplayer, which is easier said than done because a decade-old game isn't exactly filled with players, so we had to wait a while for lobbies, but I did eventually get it. I then liberated all the outposts, which weren't too bad. The only time it got annoying is when they called for reinforcements. And then while I was working towards the display of 4 fortune trophy for conquering 2 fortresses, I got a trophy for killing 4 enemies with a single explosion, as well as the display of fortune trophy a few seconds later. But then the same guy messaged me and asked me if I wanted to do the co-op missions, so of course I said yes. For the first one, I had to be in a passenger seat and perform a takedown on an enemy driving beside me. And then for the last multiplayer / co-op trophy, we had to liberate an outpost. Now that those are done, we can move on to the single player. For this trophy, I had to complete 3 assassination quests, which are pretty easy to do. All I had to do was kill a leader a specific type of way. Afterwards, I completed 3 races. I then unexpectedly got the trophy Well Read. Later, I completed 3 bomb defuse quests. Next, I did the best trophy in the game, and that was for running over 25 people, which I still did even after completing the trophy because I thought it was funny. I then proceeded to complete 6 hunting quests, which obviously had me hunt animals. I also reached Karma level 2 and purchased something from the shop. I then stole 3 royal trucks, which is another random event that could happen at any time. I saw a lot of these while playing the story, I just didn't want to drive them all the way back to an outpost. Afterwards, I got another trophy for a random event that could happen at any time, and this one was for eliminating 3 of Pagan's rat convoys, which are 3 vehicles that spawn in a line, and all I had to do was eliminate them. This next trophy was probably the most annoying one. I had to perform a takedown on a vehicle while I'm flying with a buzzer, and the main reason this was annoying is because the trucks were just faster than the buzzer, and if I chased the van for too long, the guy driving would get out and shoot me, which obviously wouldn't allow me to perform a takedown, but after like 20 minutes I got it. After I purchased 3 upgrades for my parents' house. Next, I had to complete 3 Kyran Fashion Week quests, which had me kill an animal with a specific weapon, so they can make a coat out of it and sell it for way too much money. I then decided to go for 2 collectible trophies. This game genuinely had the easiest collectible trophies because you could buy a map from the store to reveal all the collectibles, and you didn't even need to get all of them. A few seconds later, I crafted 15 syringes and bought every single thing you could buy for a gun. I then finished the final collectible trophy, which was again super easy, but I can't say the same for the next trophy because I had to eliminate 30 enemies with the mortar rounds. This was a bit annoying because this weapon was super slow, but if you time it right, really not that bad. Afterwards, I decided to get 2 grindy trophies out of the way, which was for killing 50 enemies with the flamethrower and killing 30 enemies with an elephant. The elephant one was so much fun, I can't lie. Another annoying trophy was the misdirection trophy. For this one, I had to distract 15 guards with rocks. The reason I say this was annoying is because you couldn't just throw the rock and that counted as one. You had to wait for the enemy to investigate the rock and then return to his original place, but after like 5 minutes it popped. I then recreated O-Block by killing 25 enemies while driving a car for the drive-by trophy. Afterwards, I got a bow and shot an enemy from 60 meters away, which I did on my first attempt, by the way. Not flexing, but I am better. Later, I had to reach arena rank 5, which was pretty easy. All I had to do was finish a few rounds in the arena. And for our second to last trophy, I traveled 5,000 meters with a wingsuit. As for our final trophy, I had to learn all skills, but I still needed like 30 skill points, but luckily there's a farm where I had to take down 2 juggernauts, and they give you 3/4 of a level each takedown, and after stealth killing them both, I saved the game and let the enemies kill me, and did it all over again. This was a fast way to get levels, but it still took me like 30 minutes to get, which doesn't matter because I got the platinum trophy straight after. Boom, fully loaded for unlocking all skills. And Master of Kyrat. And that was the Far Cry 4 Platinum Trophy experience. Like I said, I didn't like this game much because the story was very bland and boring in my opinion. And if I don't like the story much, that just ruins the whole game for me. And I want to mention that I did complete the DLC and was gonna talk about it, but it was pretty repetitive to be honest.